Hi Aries, here's a general look at your solar chart for a little bit of January and the whole of February 2015. So happy new year. And it's a time for making connections in January. It's a time to think about the impression maybe that you're making on others. Maybe you are rubbing shoulders with bureaucracy or authority figures, parents, anybody else in a so-called position of power in your life, and you're having to take your your outer image, but also your responsibilities more seriously. This is a sociable time. This is a time to make connections, to connect in with maybe a new group, a new circle, a new district, but there's a kind of a feeling of uncertainty and maybe even a little bit of confusion hanging around in the air. So the best you can do is keep lines of communications open and courteous, not being too totally sure of your ground, maybe in a particular area, or just feeling a bit indecisive, and that would increase a little bit from the 15th onwards. You kind of know you need to do something about it though. So from January the 15th to January the 23rd, there is the time that you're more likely to be spooked by shadows, to feel maybe not spooked, just irritated, or maybe not irritated, maybe stressed. It all depends on you and your basic character, right? But that would be because there are shadows around. There are what ifs or maybes around. It's not the best time actually to launch into a new project, as you just lack that certainty, that energy, that confidence at the moment. In fact, your energy could be dipping a bit. And this is a time when underlying patterns could be triggered, underlying self-delusion even, or illusion, and that can be undermining. However, on the positive side, it's a good time to be there as a support to others. It's a good time to put your own ego on one side and say, look, this just got to be done. And step up to the plate and be an enabler, be a facilitator, whatever it is, something which will benefit another, something that's going to benefit another. And that's the better use of this energy. It's to be selfless and do what needs to be done to serve a higher purpose or a common good in some way. But at the same time, as your energies could be dropping at this time, be especially nice to yourself, Aries, and look after yourself. Okay, and then other positive uses of this energy are going into maybe getting involved in imaginative or artistic things, as a viewer or creator of those, or indeed developing yourself psychically or through healing, or anything else which is maybe a little bit more esoteric, a bit more spiritual. Now, the last few days of January and the first few days of February, this theme of uncertainty does continue. So again, not the greatest time to be launching into anything major. I mean, it soon passes. I know you do love action and you do like to make decisions and follow them up. But just now at the moment, there are other, maybe, shall we say, invisible forces at work. Well, there always are, but just a little bit more penetrating into your auric field at this time. Maybe you lack the feedback that you need. Maybe you lack that final sort of feeling of definition in your gut, which settles your feeling. But you can show your love at this time by being unselfish. You can also do that by not having unrealistic expectations. The upside of this, again, in that little short period between the end of January and the beginning of February, is having wonderful visualizations and feeling inspired creatively, and then putting a shape to these visualizations and these inspirations and making them real, but not being too rose-tinted spectacles about somebody or somewhere or something, not putting somebody on a pedestal, and maybe not making solid commitments just at the moment until you're feeling a little bit brighter, or maybe it's not that like that, maybe it's just a bit more down to earth, because you can be a bit sort of airy-fairy just now, and just accept the limitations of the situation, Aries, and be grateful for the happy moments, right? That's all we can ever do, isn't it? Now, until the 19th, the solar energy makes it a forward-moving phase in general, when friendships, contacts new and old, or more involvement within a community or a group of people are definitely more emphasized. It's a very progressive time. It's a time when you're feeling, at last, right, I can get on with this, I can get on with that, because before I was held away from it for some reason. And this is a period that you can generally sort of collect together with others, gather together with others, chew the fat, pool, opinions, knowledge, resources, whatever it is. Mercury is retrograde until the 11th, and things should start rolling forwards more smoothly from then. You could find yourself connecting in with a specific group of not a closed shop, but a group of people who are specialists in something, or maybe not that, maybe just have an interest in common, maybe have a place in common, but it is like you are coming into it, or maybe you're coming back to it, right? And it is not a negative or a positive energy, it just is the energy. Until the 21st, Venus is transiting a very background area of your chart, along with Mars, actually. Mars and Venus are in the same place, and you digging deeper, you feeling things a bit more intensely maybe, but keeping quiet about it. Maybe sometimes, in some cases, putting on a brave face even. You stepping back, you observing, you touching base with where you know is secure in your wisdom, in your knowledge, touching into your wisdom, touching into your genius, touching into your imagination as well, and into those places which lead to healing, which lead to the feel-good factor, which lead to, escapism, but in a good way, just getting out of the harshness of the everyday material world. Because again, even here in February, it is not a great time to be launching into new things. Not, I would say, until Venus and Mars come into your sign, which they are going to do pretty soon. This is you in a more self-reflective mood. This is you in a healing bubble, maybe with others, maybe not, maybe just alone, being the hermit, This is you touching into your ancientness. It can also be you getting tripped up by emotional reactions, which you thought you'd surmounted, you thought you had overcome in the past, and there they are again, popping up like jack-in-the-boxes. So just try to avoid falling down those same old emotional holes in the road, doing habits which are counterproductive, which are ultimately never led you anywhere, and it is this period here when you are keeping things into yourself more. However, you will begin to sort of want to come out. So even though I said this is a time for linking in with a particular group, or maybe, a new group, or new friends and new associations, there is a reserve there. There's a reserve. You're keeping a lot under your hat about it, right? But then from the time that both Venus and Mars come out of there, which will be the 21st and the 20th respectively, then you begin to really be up for it. Then you begin to really feel as though, okay, I'm enjoying this now. And you're less reserved. You're less maybe cynical, you're less doubtful. Now the sun moves on the 19th also into this background area, just a tad before Venus and Mars move out of it. And so again, we will have this teeter, you call it teeter-totter, I call it seesaw, maybe you call it seesaw as well, but of the energies. But I would say with your ruling planet Mars, this far more extrovert area, along with Venus, which is more sociable, which is feeling more in the mood, even though the sun is still in the background area of nurture, of tapping into higher levels, or tapping into just this feeling of being unselfish, being the support for somebody else who needs it, something else that needs it, whatever it is, or imagination and creativity in that way. But you're beginning to really, get into your stride, get into your stroke, with Mars and Venus in your sign. And then With Mars and Venus in your sign, you will begin to really feel that your morale is kind of being boosted, and material resources are there. Excuse me. You know, if you're reaching out for those, or you're getting a good deal for something, that's likely. But with Mars in your sign, that energy, that energy sort of slump that you may have been in before, which can make you feel a bit depressed, actually, will start to really, really ramp up now, and make things a lot busier around you. But also you begin to think, you know, you begin to have more stamina, you begin to feel as though you want to reach out and make improvements, you want to go for the goals, you want to go for the ambitions, but still take adequate rest and relaxation, because Mars can run you ragged with the energy. Because if the energy isn't barreling through you, it'll be barreling at you. So just be aware of that, and as you go forwards. Now, I didn't mention, did I mention Mercury is going retrograde until the 11th, right? So there usually is this kind of feeling of delay or postponement, or having to dot the I's and cross the T's on things with Mercury retrograde. But from the 11th, things should start running forwards more smoothly from then. And then the further out planets, the slower moving planets, we go from Jupiter. Jupiter is in a really, really good angle to your sun sign. I mean, really astonishingly good, until next August. And that means that there could be romance in the pipeline for you. There could definitely be more access to playful environments, fun environments, entertaining environments, you know, where you can just let go of self-consciousness and let go of that sort of serious grown-up seriousness, okay? And you Arians born the 3rd to the 9th of April, with 14 to 19 degrees, are going to feel that energy the most this month. And then we've got Saturn into its new area, again also in a very good angle to your sun sign, Aries. And there could be some deep insights coming your way about maybe previous beliefs or ideals, and you know, what you held to be true and written in stone. But because it's in such a good angle to your sun sign, you will learn huge lessons with not too high a price to pay on that. And I know that's me at a distance saying that, but when you look back on having paid your dues, as we all do sometimes in this lifetime, you will maybe see that phase when Saturn was going through Sagittarius, which is this area of, you know, your understanding of how everything works and what you hold really true to yourself. Maybe there will be some coming down a peg or two on that one, but it won't cost you too dear. In other words, it won't be too harsh compared to what it could have been, right? So there is a feeling of harmony with it. There's a feeling of gain with it, right? So developing a new understanding, also anything to do with academia, you know, anything to do with training, higher learning, or just, you know, going to college, going to university, whatever. This will be slow and gradual, but you will benefit hugely from it with Saturn in this good angle. And it'll be you having to be patient about that one as you learn those lessons as the guru or the teacher, you know, or as the advisor or the one with the expert knowledge comes to you and tells you these things that maybe sometimes you don't want to hear, but then you do get your head around them, and then you slowly start working with those concepts, and you realize that you are gaining hugely. And you Arians born on the 23rd to the 26th of March, or with 2 to 6 degrees rising, are going to feel that energy the most. And then quickly, Uranus is in your sign. You Arians born in the middle 10 days, or with 11 to 16 degrees rising, going to feel that energy the most. And Pluto is coming at your sign very, very strongly. And by the way, they've now decided that Pluto is a planet again, whereas it got demoted to asteroid status. But us astrologers have always maintained it really is a planet, because it packs such a huge punch, you know, in our lives, and we never forget the time in our lives that we went through the Pluto phase. So if you were born in the middle 10 days, or with, in more particular, 12 to 16 degrees rising, more in the first part of the middle 10, first to the middle of the middle 10 days, or with 12 to 16 degrees rising, you'll feel that energy the most at the moment. And that's it for a bit of January, most of February, or all of February. And if you want to see this text written, it's on my website. And also there's probably a few other things on there as well. And I wish you well, and I'll see you again the next time. Oh, and listen to your moon and your rising sign as well. That might be useful. So I'll see you the next time. Bye for now.